Good morning, everyone. It's Dr. Arlene Diamco, the MultiDimensional MD. My mission is to help bring spirit back to medicine and raise the bar of health because spirit was never meant to be separated in the first place. And we have an amazing episode for you today. But first, I want to pause and just acknowledge and send prayers of love and light because of the recent shootings here in Georgia. Some of them are not too far from where I am. And there were shootings at several massage spas, and it's unsure if they're targeting like Asians. And but there's so much going on. And I had planned this episode like weeks ago, and I feel that it is so relevant right now because here I'm talking about like embracing diversity and people from different backgrounds and what that actually has to do with health. And we just got such a stark reminder of it in the past hours of why this is so vital and why this is so timely. And I want to provide some messages of hope and joy, even in the face of tragedy, because we each have a choice to make. We can't control everything that everyone else does, but we can make choices for ourselves of how we get to know each other, how we learn about different cultures, different traditions, and in this fun way, we get to also learn about different foods. And if you know me, I'm such a foodie, so I always appreciate delicious and especially healthy food. And so with that somber start, I do want this to be an episode of hope and joy. So I'd like to introduce you to my friend and colleague, Anastasia Sharova, who is the founder of Happy Bellyfish Cooking School and an expert in healthy cooking, sustainable foods, and quick and easy meal prep. She's also the creator of the micro documentary series, The Origins of Food That Matter, which explores the artisan and sustainable methods of food production. Her online, fully remote cooking school brings the expertise of chefs from all around the world, honoring the traditional culinary cultures. It offers online classes on fermentation, spices, healthy baking, as well as easy daily cooking that incorporates nutrition, science, and global flavors. Anastasia's expertise has been featured on Huffington Post, The Good Trade, The Epoch Times, Elephant Journal, and Thrive Global. Her website is happybellyfish.com. So thank you so much for being here, Anastasia.
Thank you so much, Arlene, for inviting me. I'm absolutely in love with your approach to health. So for me, it's a special honor to be on your podcast. And I hope that we can share some really nice and inspiring nuggets of culinary wisdom today with your audience.
And we had met several years ago, and I had Anastasia and I had talked about probiotics and the benefits of probiotic foods. But I want to share with everyone a little bit about your background and how you founded this international healthy cooking school and became a superfood chef.
Yes, so my background is not very linear, and we will share about it. You'll see where the roots actually were.
Oh, we lost your connection for a little bit. She's frozen, so we'll give it a moment. So if you don't know, Anastasia is actually in Germany. We lost you for just a moment.
Oh, I apologize. I think there was some lag technically. Yeah. Now we seem to be better.
Yes, because you're in Germany right now, and so we're dealing with the internet and everything. But yeah, go on.
Yes. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Yes. So actually my career started in the field of international development with a focus on education. And through this work and also through my opportunities that the life gave me. I had a chance already by mid-20s. I basically lived in 4 countries, which were very diverse in culture and everything. So I lived in Russia, in India, in Germany, and in South Africa. And that was also the time when I was going through personal health challenges, and I was developing quite severe nutrient deficiencies. So while having this opportunity to live in completely different environments, I started observing of what people were actually eating. The thing is that I'm personally coming from the family which has a very strong philosophy of preventive lifestyle. I grew up in the atmosphere that, like, if you have any health issues, first of all, you have to look at the way you live, the way you eat. And this is why the first thing that I, paid attention to was, what do I eat and what do people around me eat so that they feel better? And I saw some very interesting trend is that regardless if people were staying in South Africa or in Germany, they were eating pretty much the same things as societies, as the modern societies. It was really very starting, that even though the environment was so different, the customs were different, the weather is so different, people were very much basing their daily diets on, let's say, I wouldn't use the word process because it has different, tunes to it, but convenient foods, what was already pre-made and what was offered to them, and pretty much detaching from their traditions of eating. However, those who were coming back to the traditional way of eating, which meant eating what was in your environment, giving some time to cooking, actually focusing on whole foods that were around them, they could really live health-wise completely different, like it was very starking that the way they were feeling, and that's when I started going much deeper into the research of understanding if what's in the scientific world available there to say what's the difference between eating refined carbohydrates and actually eating foods from your own garden in season. And I found plenty of evidence. It's just out there that when we eat syncing with our environment, the seasons, the nature, when there is the least time was spent between the time when the food was picked and the time it came to our plate, this is the type of foods that give us the most nutrition, and which can actually give us long-lasting health. So I went deeper into it, and I went to India. I started Ayurvedic nutrition. I wanted to look at it holistically. And this is how it all started. It all started from health. But because of the international context, I was seeing that people are struggling with the same. And
what were the countries that you lived in?
Germany, Russia. I'm originally from Russia, South Africa, and India. And also it so happened that my husband, he's also chef and he's from India. So I had a very strong introduction to a culture that seems, very different food-wise. And I also found a lot of inspiration there. And yes, and then there was a time that we were staying in Berlin, and together with my husband, as I already mentioned, we started running cooking classes where I was introducing this knowledge, because I spent many years, like over a decade, on actually understanding, what we eat from what regions, for what reasons, in what seasons. And we were running a supper club where we were taking local German ingredients, adding spices and herbs. So basically dry ingredients, superfoods from other regions, not just from India, but globally. And introducing our guests to these combinations, and explaining the story behind each ingredient and also the health benefit of each ingredient. And it started growing in popularity. And then I thought the idea that, wow, that would be really great to reach more people than I can in my 10 people private workshop. And they started going online. And then it became apparent that my knowledge is not enough. I already became a certified chef later. And we started collaborating with other chefs from other regions. And we are also a fully remote school. So it doesn't matter where I'm personally based. Each chef with whom we collaborate, located all over the world. I'm very thankful to the global internet economy that it's possible.
And it seems to have blown up in the pandemic, and people being at home,
Yeah.
more interested in eating well. And I have so many questions for you.
Yes.
What are your, for you, like having studied all these different backgrounds and
Mhm.
Ayurvedic, like what are your keys to healthy eating? And you mentioned, locally sourced, eating with the seasons. Are there any other like keys that you feel are just foundation to healthy eating?
Yes, absolutely. So, very important thing and the very simple thing is to focus on whole foods. So everything that comes without the package, that went through the list of processing, this is the rule number one. And the rule number two is to focus on the nutrient dense foods. So not the same food has the same value. If it's even if you take two loaves of bread, they will be completely different in their nutritional value. And this is very important to understand as basics. That if you take white bread made from refined flour with a lot of other ingredients like salt and sugar, you will have the feeling of that you ate something, but your body will not get anything that it needs to be strong and healthy. But if you take the sourdough loaf, which is only made from, like beautiful organic flour that has all the nutrients in it, that has all the fiber in it, it ferments it naturally, and there's basically nothing else but water and flour, it will be a completely different story because you will not just feel full, but you will also take all the benefits of what this, grain of wheat or rye or quinoa, whatever grain was used in the bread has in it and what nature gave to it. And one more thing I would also say, which is actually easier to follow than it seems, is variety. It's a thing that a lot of people in our cooking school struggle with when they come. They say, "Hey, I cook every day, but I realize that I actually cook the same thing."
I think because so many families are going to identify with that because there's just like the basic meals that people rotate over and over. And then you get stuck in this like rut of like, what are we going to make for dinner? And then, of course, when we're all quarantined, it's like you're making every single meal. So you're always thinking of like, now what can we eat? So
Yeah.
variety would be great. And how do people get started with that? Eating new foods and incorporating new and different spices and herbs, because it can be intimidating. There can be herbs that people don't even know how to pronounce. They've never seen before. The aroma is something new for them. So, how do you get over that barrier of like, just kind of a hesitation of like, I don't know what to do, or overwhelm of like, I don't even know how to get started? Because I know I've picked up recipes in the past of like Indian foods, and there were so many spices that I didn't have in my cabinet. And then it was, oh, okay. So first I have to find these herbs and spices before like starting. And so anyway, what do you recommend?
Well, the way we eat is actually really ingrained in us. Like it's a habit, and that changing a habit is never easy because it's a certain pattern that we follow. So that's why we feel really overwhelmed when there is something new or new herbs coming our way. And the few tips that I could give, first of all, to change any habit and to explore anything new, we need to have a good motivation. The best motivation to try a new herb is to know how it tastes. So a lot of people learn new cuisine when they travel somewhere, they try it and they really love it and they want to replicate it so badly. So it serves as the best motivation. So be adventurous to try, when you get the chance, when you can to a friend's place, make multicultural friends, or go to a restaurant, do a takeaway, and it will kind of give you a push, to do it. Second, try, with the basics. What you can do is just pick one herb and look for recipe with it. Like, let's say you said the Indian cuisine. Let's talk about turmeric. Everyone knows turmeric, and this is like a superfood. People will take it in capsules these days. You can just eat with it every day, and you don't have just to mix it with water and drink. You can literally pretty much add it everywhere. So once you get comfortable with one spice, usually the sphere, slowly you can add another one and then a third one. And of course, you have to start with the cuisine that you absolutely love. Or one more way is go and follow a chef or a cooking class because it gives you a push, actually, to try it, There are definitely, if you roll like online format, there are a lot of cooking schools that are, luckily, things are changing now, with the pandemic easing. So you can go to a live class and do it once. And this is the golden rule. When you do something once, you start believing that you can do it, and then it's not as scary anymore. And trust me, all the cuisines of the world are much easier than it seems. It's just, as you said, this mental thing that I don't know how to pronounce it. How you put it on my pan, right? So you need to just do it only once, or meet with friends, make a cooking party at home, make a Zoom cooking party at home. Say that, okay, today we are cooking Thai. And usually also when you start out, you have a recipe of 10 herbs. Usually you can take just 5. So you can even reduce the amount of whatever you can find, and, try to find some joy in experiment.
Yeah, that would be a fun thing to do with you, to have a cooking party.
Yes, it's lots of fun. I love live events. On Zoom even, it doesn't matter. You can feel the energy, and, you really feel you're not alone left with this new Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, to have that support.
Yes.
And then as you get to know the different kinds of flavors, then I guess that's part of what you said, the diversity, introducing like diversity into what you eat, into your meals. And, for you, what have you seen that, how do we benefit from this multicultural approach to food?
The interesting thing is that food by itself, if you look a little bit, into the history, is by default multicultural. So a lot of things that we now attribute to a certain cuisine actually traveled from somewhere else. Let's talk about Germany. I'm in Germany now, and Germans love the potatoes. It's considered to be like a national vegetable, but it came from Peru. When we talk about Italian cuisine, one of the world's most famous and flavorful cuisines, you can't imagine it without the oranges and lemons, but they were never really growing originally in that region, So the food traveled. It's just 2 examples, but everything that we have on our plates now, it kind of froze in time at some point, but it's a constant movement of food and crops all around the world, and we all learn from each other without realizing it. So a lot of things, everyone knows black pepper, in European cuisine. You can't imagine things about black pepper, it's the main spice. Where it comes from the tropical countries, right? So we learned from other cultures how to use it. And I think that we should never forget it and never stop there. Because first of all, this, embracing the ingredients from other countries and other cultures enriches our own eating experience and the joy we have from food, the flavors. But this is just the minimum part of the benefit that we get from it. What's also very important is how it benefits us as a society. And I think that we can, you're based in the US, and US is generally a very unique case, because there are so many cultures that have been there for generations. And the same trend is happening also in other countries right now, it's a little bit with the lag. And when people meet someone from another culture and they really have a friendly conversation, I don't know if you noticed, but food very often comes as one of the first topic, because we're so attached.
Yes, like food is an art to me, and art is a universal language, and food is something that everybody needs. So it's an art that everyone partakes in all around the world. So yes, it's a great way to bond and get together and celebrate and learn about each other.
Yeah, and we always have a story, right? Linked to our favorite food, and mostly it's linked to our family or a certain experience. And once we share the stories to each other, with each other, then there is a completely different connection happening between the people, because you're kind of sharing part of yourself.
Yeah.
And if you cook this food for someone, this is already a different level. You almost do it as for the member of your family. This is why food, the way we eat, the way we cook, the effects of it are so strong, just actually beyond the nutrients that it gives. It has such a therapeutic effect. The process of cooking, the moment of sharing, and there's been also quite a good amount of research done on how it affects us mentally when we both cook and when we share the meal with someone else, versus just having a takeaway and swallowing it to fill up our bellies. Yes, and this is something that we all intuitively do. And of course, the multicultural, just the last thing I would say is a huge benefit, which is very important in the modern context, is what the diversity on our plates does to our planet. Because by embracing the wisdom of eating from other countries, we are able to bring very sustainable foods to other regions, and then the way that we see food, we grow it really changes. And this is why this exchange is so important between the cultures.
That sustainability is really important. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, and how eating from not just one thing, but diverse foods really helps in the sustainability. So we're not placing so much demands on any one kind of resource. And I love what you said about the stories that foods bring with it, because we also have like our own personal stories. And I just think about in my own family, just remembering foods from childhood, or foods that my cousins and I share that bring like happy memories of when we all ate them together. And then sometimes now we are celebrating, when loved ones have crossed over, we're celebrating like those loved ones with the foods that we eat, and bringing back like some things that we haven't eaten in so long, to be able to like relive those memories, and to feel those like emotions and stories again. But then also sharing, listening to other people's stories, and not just listening, but you get to enjoy their stories through the process of like eating the food and sharing the food. And it would be a great idea to get together and have like a multicultural night, and families from different backgrounds. And they do this sometimes at the schools, which is the favorite part, I have to say. They have food from every country, but what people love the most is the food. Like going and trying the different foods. So sometimes we have to just call it out as it is, but that's a great way to share, and you get to learn.
It's just because you touched the schools and the kids, and I think it's so important that you said it's actually very important to expose kids to the international foods, because they learn about the world, through those ingredients, and bonding and sensitivity to the other cultures, understanding of other cultures, the development of interest in other cultures. I think it can be very well kicked off by trying a delicious curry, from a completely different region or something else. Like it's entertainment for them, but this is how they learn.
And I love that, so your daughter gets to grow up with these international flavors and global cuisine. So her palate she is used to a variety and so many different flavors. But what do you have any tricks or tips for you helping families with picky eaters, and picky eaters, not just with the kids, because there are many adults that are very picky?
Yes, absolutely. We have among our students in our cooking school, there are a lot of people who come exactly with that question. What do I do? Like my kids or my partner, they're very tough. So how do I feed them? Because they're conservative in their food choices. It's very difficult to please them. So the easiest thing that I always say to start with, if you want to make it more interesting, or if you want to healthify, kind of the plate that your family has, you should start with the foods that they already love. For example, if your kids absolutely love chips, for example, you can try to bake the potato wedges in the oven, which takes really very little effort if you do it once. Sprinkle some Cajun seasoning on top, which is a combination of several spices. It's a seasoning you can buy everywhere in the US. And it actually replicates the flavor of the chips a lot, because it's bringing up the flavor of the potato and the spice combination. So the idea is to take what they already love and try to add something different to it. So it's not a very drastic change, and they might not even not notice it. Or another example is all kids love pasta. So instead of giving them the pasta with the normal tomato sauce that you would normally buy, make a vegetable sauce instead, and they will not even notice it. I have a lot of experience with that. Make a sauce from sweet potato or from yellow pea that you mix with some cheese, for example, to kind of mask a little bit. And this is where you can start. But if you have a problem with the time to actually experiment with new ingredients, which I know is a big issue for many parents, none of us has time to cook. Planning is a key here. We usually plan a lot of things around our work and things that seem to be more important. But if you spend just 20 minutes to plan your weekly menu and you put in, some new things in between, starting slowly, it will be really much easier to add a little bit of variety in your weekly way of eating. And then, step by step, you'll be taking.
Yeah, I like that. Just little steps, little variations. And if they like that, then you can do a little more variation. So that I have some ideas now of like what I'm gonna do for my I have my 4 girls and my husband, and it's like everybody likes different things, but we make one meal for the night.
Yes, that's definitely a challenge.
So, and I know today happens to be St. Patrick's Day. So did you have any favorite simple like ways to make super green foods?
Yes, so green is a wonderful color because some of the most nutrient-dense foods are actually green by nature. And so if I was to make a green menu today, I would turn to 3 green ingredients that I would basically mix in my normal recipes. So I would either take spinach or spinach powder. Then you can also take matcha, or you can take green spirulina. I hope this ingredient is not exotic. I guess everyone knows it. So the easy way to do it, again, if you have some pasta, mix in some spinach powder. Or if you have any type of a soup that you prepare today, let's say simple potato soup, also just add some fresh spinach and blend it in a blender and it will become green. If you have a favorite sweet, then this is where you want, let's say you prepared whipped cream, or you prepared some simple mousse cake or panna cotta. It really depends, I know, of how much people really cook at home, right? But if you do any dessert which is white in color, just add a bit of spirulina powder or matcha, depending on what flavor you enjoy more, and it will right away become a green recipe. And the simplest recipe that I'll tell you right now, if you want to make a green sweet, you want to take just a cup of cashews, because it's not so white. You're going to soak them for a couple of hours, and then you are going to add, if you took 1 cup of cashew, you take half a cup of any other unsoaked nut, or let's say grated coconut, or almond flour. You put them in a blender together. You add some sweetener of choice to taste, whatever you like. It can be maple syrup, or it can be a little bit of honey. You blend it in a blender and you'll see this white mass. It will be very sweet. You can just eat it with a spoon. Trust me, you'll enjoy it.
Oh, wow.
And then you'll add either matcha or spirulina. Just 1 spoon is enough. You will not feel the flavor of those very much, but it will turn the whole thing green. If you want to take it to the next level, drop just a little bit of peppermint. Because something green and it's sweet, they don't want it to taste like seaweed, right? They might, what is this, Mom? So if you add some peppermint essential oil, this will be having a sweet profile already.
What do you call that? Is it supposed to be cold or room temperature? Or
yeah, so it depends on how you want to eat it, because if you can take this mass, it will be like a sticky mass, okay? And you can make the balls out of it simply. You remember the easiest, everyone knows how to make balls, and just stick them in a freezer for 20 minutes and it will come out already solid and stuck together. Yeah. So it will be energy balls, or because it's Green St. Patrick's Day, you can call it like mermaid jewels, creative with the names. But ultimately, you can make energy bars or energy balls from this. So give it any shape that you want, and in the fridge, it will solidify.
My daughter was just asking about making energy balls again. So I am going to try something like that and see how it goes. And the benefit of, I'm going to put some spirulina in it. And you get so much nutrition too from that.
Absolutely.
Not only is it green, but it's just today I have a reason to make it really green. And so I want to take advantage of that moment of that they will eat green things today because it's St. Patrick's Day.
There is a good reason for that, right?
Yes. Right. And I was just thinking, like, while you were talking, because is your cooking school, for just people may not know, do you follow like any kind of dietary thing? Like, is it vegan? Is it keto? Is it, we have like paleo or meat eating or not, do you have any philosophy on that?
We don't follow a particular diet, and we actually stress it out that we have a no diet approach, and people of all food philosophies and diets are very welcome in our school. And this is also something that I actually derive from, watching the way of eating in completely different regions, because there is one fundamental rule. There are, of course, some exceptional regions, like, in the coldest parts of Russia, where they actually can only hunt the animals and there is nothing else, or in certain tribal cultures, there are exceptions. But the general rule is usually the healthy diets, regional diets, are 90% plant-based. Mm-hmm. So, and this is what we follow. And the 10%, this will already depend on how you feel, where you stay, what's your philosophy. I can understand that people also adopt certain diets, because of their personal views, and we have a lot of respect for that. But we have no hard rules. And of course, we focus on whole foods and on natural superfoods. So we always pick the foods we have the most nutrition in them.
That's exactly what I tell 20.
Yeah,
and then protein, what proteins people can digest, it really is more individual. And so, but every healthy diet around the world focuses on more vegetables than not.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, yes. That's great.
We feel always that, of course, every single person, as you said, it's very individual, like the way that people can digest certain things, and everyone has their own health goals, and, throughout life, what age you are, where you are, it also affects. So there can never be one size fits all, but throughout life, there are this, because also a lot of people who learn cooking from us, they cook not just for themselves, right? Like they cook for their families. And there are some universal formulas that generally, unless there is a specific health challenge, work for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Anastasia. I always love talking to you and talking about food and health. And I'm going to write up that little recipe that you told us about so that people have it. And we'll put some timestamps below so people can find it in the video as well. So thank you so much for being here and working with me with the time zones in Germany and here in Georgia. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you and all the work that you're doing.
Thanks a lot, Arlene. It was lots of fun, and I hope that you'll enjoy your green recipes today, and your daughters as well.
Thank you. I will share with everyone how that goes. So wish me lots of luck and lots of love to all of you. I will see you next time on the MultiDimensional MD next Wednesday at 11 a.m. EST. If you want to connect with me, you can go to Instagram at All Worlds Health, Facebook, All Worlds Health and Pediatrics, and my website, allworldshealth.com. And if you want to connect with Anastasia, do you want to share your handles and Instagram?
Sure, it's Happy Bellyfish. Happy Bellyfish. So we have the same name everywhere. Yes, like a belly, which is happy, and there is a fish inside.
So Happy Bellyfish on Instagram and Facebook, or happybellyfish.com. So take care. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.